This is the channel for the woman who's done playing small, the woman who knows there's a fire in her belly, a voice in her bones, and a destiny she's done apologizing for. If you're ready to unleash the woman you were born to be, hit subscribe and join the movement. I'm Leona Schrock, and let's rise together. I have a sign on my desk that says the line between naughty and nice is constantly moving. I feel like that couldn't be more fitting for me because, one day is this way and the next day it's this way. So today we're going to talk about you being the CEO of your life. Let's do this, darling. So recently I've had a major shift in my life, and it's something that I became aware of, that I was playing small in my life. And if you know me, I have a big motto of stop playing small. Where are you playing small in your life? And we don't know what we don't know, right? And so as I've been building my business of the Wild Woman Unleashed, and I'm creating my course, Wild and Reclaimed Mama, you're going to want to get your touch in there because the modules are so good. They're so ooey gooey, transformative. You already know I eat transformation for breakfast. So here we are. And I also am doing a free mastermind class today. Didn't really think about it. I might create another YouTube video that might have dropped before this just to talk about it because you're going to want to be in this room because I don't need to explain to you. However, if you keep feeling like your vision boards are not becoming a reality, and I am going to release this at a later date as well, but if you're on live, I will coach you. And then I'm going to release it later. But it's going to be available to you at a very low cost, but it's actually going to be life changing because 2026 is coming in really fast, hot and spicy. And if you felt like you make vision boards and something isn't hitting, or when people say to you, feel the emotion of you already having it, and you're like, what's going on? Like, and this is for you because I have literally just revised my whole vision board, amped it up, and I procrastinated a bit this time because I'm like, okay, because my vision board, like I did vision boards for a long time and they like didn't really move and didn't really shift. And then finally, when I started tweaking some things, my vision board became a reality pretty quickly. And so I have not heard this taught anywhere the way that I'm going to be teaching it. And so you're going to want this. Yeah, you're going to want your hands on this. So going back to being the CEO of your life. So I want you to ask yourself the question of where do you hold yourself back from leading in your life? So I'm a mama, and if you're a mama, then I want you to like stop and pause right now. If you have raised humans, you can build a business. And not that you have to build a business. Whatever is makes your life fulfilling and whatever makes you feel like you're on purpose and you're in your passion, then that is what you do. And this can apply to you if you're running a business or if you're not running a business. But I had this like aha moment a while back so I have three kids. I have a 23-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 17-year-old. And so they're pretty much grown adult, right? But it doesn't mean that I stop parenting. And as I'm building my own business and as the house renovation business is going from millions to multi-millions, I was like in this loop of suddenly I was doubting myself like big time. I don't know if I have what it takes. And you know how they say new levels, new devils? I don't like that term because now you're just looking for something that you're like, ooh, yeah, I know. And it's like new levels mean that you're going to hit new glass ceilings because you're bumping up against a part of you that gets to be released, unlocked, unleashed, unchained, and untamed. To fully embody because you're always being taken deeper into who God designed you to be. That's why you have the dream that is written on your heart. The desires of your heart are from God. It's unleashing more of who you are truly designed to be versus who you are conditioned to be. And so in my bloodline, I am the first woman that is going to be a millionaire. I am the first woman that even runs a business. I am the first woman who has raised my kids alone in the last 7 years. I'm the first divorced woman. I'm the first woman who is not Amish in my bloodline. I'm the first woman who uses my voice and coaches other people. Voice is the very thing that we got crushed into like my bloodline was martyred back here for that. And so keeping that in mind and knowing the history of your bloodline is really important. If you don't know the history, then ask your parents. And if you have, my mother is no longer with us. She is with me in spirit, but she is not with us physically. And my dad is like emotionally unavailable. Like my dad will give me some history, but There's a lot that I don't know, but I know enough. Like my brother and I have discussed stuff, and I know enough just knowing the history of the Amish that I know to the extent kind of what they went through. And when you know your bloodline and when you know generational stuff, you know if you're tapping into generational or if you're tapping into your own condition that you have developed over the time from the world, society, religion, family, whatever it is that you come from. However, that being said, in my bloodline, women were never given the space and the place where your voice mattered. Now, it wasn't like my mom didn't have a voice because she definitely had a voice. It was more like my mom never felt like she was truly heard. And looking back, she always felt like, my battery died. However, I am on a roll and I am back. Not sure where I left off. In that being said, of being the CEO of my life and where I am going and dabbling in the doubts, right? And also working through my own inner doubts. This isn't just a one-time stop and shop, that when you meet some of these belief systems, they have been in the generations for a long time. Some belief systems take a lot longer for you to navigate through. You have been conditioned by the internet. You constantly hear, manifest this in 2 days or manifest that, or like all these quick and accessible because we live in a microwave society. However, there are things that are a process and there are things that take time. And this is where you get to fall in love with the journey and fall in love with the process and have compassion and have grace on yourself. Are there things that can happen overnight? Absolutely. I'm not taking that away from you. I'm saying if you're over here and you're feeling frustrated and you're not sure why things, I keep bouncing up and back and forth. Why things are not moving in the direction that you desire, it's probably because you're coming from a place of lack instead of a place of trust. Let's take you out of the lack. Because whenever you're feeling anxious and whenever you're feeling like, why is this not happening yet? It's coming from a place of lack. It's just simply signaling to you that I don't trust in this area yet. And typically it's you don't trust in yourself yet because there hasn't been the muscle that has been developed. And that's going to be in one of my modules of Wild and Reclaim Mama, because if you grew up in religion, then the trust in yourself was not ever even an option. It was you were told who to be and told what to do. And so trusting yourself, you can't, because the heart's going to deceive you and your emotions will deceive you, which is something that had showed up with me being in a leadership position in my life. And anyways, as I did the deep inner work and I had the whole excavating company out and I was going down in the trenches as I'm going into this next level of my life, and there's so many different things that are happening and my business is growing, I'm building the teams, and I feel like I'm taking my family into the promised land of because every time when I'm leading, I'm leading all the time, but every time I'm going through another massive shift, because there's all these small shifts that happens. And I always feel like my 1 24-hour day is typically what a lot of people's 1 week is, because one, transformation is what I eat for breakfast, is what I that is my whole life. And so this is a bigger shift. I am releasing a lot of what was poverty and lack mindset and going over into wealth and abundance. And that's another deep layer that I've discovered when you grow up in religion, how deeply you are coded for poverty and lack. It goes way deeper than, I feel like I'm in this land of treasures and I'm discovering all of this stuff about myself that I've been operating out of, that I get to create new neural pathways, renew my mind. And it's so fun. And it's also exhausting at times. And so when I say leading my family into the promised land, it's because I know that whatever I navigate through, whatever limiting beliefs I break through, whatever I shifts my whole family. This is why I am here to help mamas. And my youngest one asked me, why do you gear it towards mama? What if somebody comes towards you? What if somebody comes that is I'm not a mom, but I want to work with you? And I was like, 100% I'll work with you. I'm not saying you have to be a mom. The reason that my heart is so passionate with the moms is because I know what it feels like to be burnt out, exhausted, overwhelmed, and you're wanting to create the life of your dreams with you and your family and your kids, and you're in the war zone and you're like, I don't know. There's a lot going on here. I'm already burnt out and exhausted, but you want to create something different for your kids. And I know what it's like when you feel like you're in the dark depths of the soul, and is there hope and is it possible? And then also being on the other side of it, being where I am. And as mothers, like the saying, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy. Like our kids feel us. There are inner beliefs and dialogue that I scoop out. And my kids later will be having a conversation and they're like, yeah, I like suddenly began to see the world this way or believe this about myself. It was because something that I shifted with inside of myself. We feel each other. That's where generational curses, like you become like those that you surround yourself with. And I know that I have the capability because God has given it to me to shift my whole bloodline. Like I have shifted and spun my whole bloodline so massively big that my ancestors are still trying to find their footing. Like I'm still trying to find my own footing. And so I know because I am a mom and I know the depth and the core and the soul activation that happens when you realize that you can shift your whole bloodline. And I want every mom to tap into this. And I want every mama to get in the belief system knowing that she can create something different and better for her family. Whatever yours is, you have what it takes. And when you look at your kids and you want something different for them, it starts and begins with you. That's the beauty of it. And so often in religion, we are programmed from a victim mentality, not even consciously aware of it. Cult-like religion, it's just pray about it. It's in God's hands. You know, if it's God's will, all the different things. And you already know. Like that's the thing. 99.9%, you don't need to pray about it. That's a crutch that you're leaning on because it feels safer and you've been conditioned that way because you weren't given the space to trust yourself to go out on the playground and do the things and make the mistakes and simply be like God's got you. And so being the CEO of my own life, I was being the CEO of being a mom. I was being the CEO of my family, but I wasn't being the CEO of my life of like, okay, I have what it takes to lead my family. I have what it takes to build this business. I have what it takes to assist and navigate this business over here from millions to multi-millions. And when I looked back over my life and I looked at the evidence of like looking at my own life of leaving a culture, leaving a marriage, rebuilding my family from financial, like I was going to say deconstruction, but deconstruction is not the word I'm looking for. Destruction and walking my middle one through life and death, illness, and losing my mom. That I was, it's like every time that I've trusted in my gut, every time I've tapped into myself, every time that I've gone deeper in my soul, I knew the way out in the most deepest, darkest circumstances that I felt like I didn't know my way out because God provided me the answers. It was when I trusted in myself that I tapped into that inner leadership. It was when I used my voice and believed in my voice and knew my self-worth that mountains moved. And so when we're plowing a new path, when we're navigating a new path, you're probably kind of taking the back seat versus coming up here and being the CEO of it and going and tapping deep into your inner trust and inner knowing. So if you come from, and you've come from cult-like religion, you were told that your emotions deceive you and your heart deceives you and you can't trust that. And emotions are feedback, okay? So when you're triggered, those are your treasures. I love triggers. Shows me the very areas where I'm so caged in. Now, I don't always love feeling the trigger. However, I've come to a place where I'm so committed and I'm so deeply rooted in knowing that my intuition is the access point that is going to give me the keys of the kingdom to where I'm going. And I can trust and believe in myself. My whole language and my whole dynamic has changed in every area of my life because of this. Because I used to be like, well, I think, I hope so. I don't know, not sure. Ooh, kind of like. And as I navigated back and I looked back at my life, I looked back at the evidence because the brain loves evidence. Your brain is wired to keep you safe. God has wired you for success. And then your brain has wired. That's why you have your soul that's like over here, like telling you, hello, excuse me, we need, like, let's come over here and do this. And you keep reverting back over here because your brain is wired to keep you safe. Once you understand that the brain is wired to keep you safe and be in the familiar, the addiction to prediction, how many times in your life have you been like, see, I told you so. I knew that was going to happen. Shouldn't have done that. Or I knew it was going to go that way. That's more of an ego statement of you coming out and you writing yourself, because it's easier for you to stay in what's familiar than it is for you to leave and go into the land of unknown, because now you meet your own limiting beliefs. Now you meet your own inner dialogue that you've been avoiding because there's probably some point of pain there. And it's easier for you to come over here, even though it's not. It's just a belief that you've acquired and that you've consumed with inside of yourself, and it's familiar. Your neural pathways know the way, walk away, leave, stay in the situation, whatever it might be, X, Y, and Z, stay in the job that you don't like, stay in the relationship that you don't like, your dating isn't going the way that you want it. It's really quote unquote easy because it takes a lot more work on your end. But long term, if you can release yourself from the instant gratification and embody and step into the long term and fall in love with the journey and release your addiction to the outcome, which is your wounded masculinity coming out, which is a whole another thing that we're going to be talking about. Coming back home to yourself and trusting your intuition. I want you to start asking yourself where you are going in your head versus your intuition. So just recently, my one girlfriend who is like, she does not live in Ohio. We are separate states, and we are always like talking back and forth on Telegram. We're literally like soul sisters. And we were talking about launching my program, and I'm like, well, I'm not sure. Like, I was going to launch my Wild and Reclaimed Mama program. It's a 3-month program, totally transformational. You can just take the program, or you can take the program and get one-on-one with me. You're going to want to get your booty in here. It's going to rock your world. And I was discerning because I had where I'm going to launch it December 15th. And then I was like, well, I know, but it's kind of like the holidays. I'm not sure if people are going to want to come in when it's over the holidays. Maybe that's going to make moms feel overwhelmed or whatever. The first live class would be in the beginning of the year. But then I like backpedaled because she's like, well, it sounds like you're leaning towards that. And I was like, no, that's my braining is what is going on over here. My intuition, my gut is like, launch it in December and give them the opportunity to sign up until the first class to come in here. Because there's been so many times when I wanted to get in the gate, get in the doors of something, because over Christmas time or whatever season you're in your life, you're ready, you want to be at the access point. And plus you get modules prior to that. You get some of these modules where you can start working on it. It gives you the extra time. I like getting ahead, being head first in it. And like, you can, the moment that transaction happens is the moment transformation happens, because you said yes to yourself. And I came back home to myself and into my intuition. I was like, I can trust myself. I can trust myself. I have walked so many things over here where I didn't have the quote unquote answers, or where I didn't feel like I knew what was the answer. But yet every time I trusted myself, then it worked out. And I'm like, I can trust myself to know how to build my company and how to lead my company. Does that mean that I'm always right? No, absolutely not. I am willing to fumble through the failing. I am willing to be open-minded. I have mentors in my life. I have people I am in the rooms where my patterns are being revealed. That's why I see so many things. And that's why it's important for you to get into the room of my program, because you're going to see the veils are going to be torn. Because when we're with ourselves, by ourselves, we don't see our own patterns. We stay in it. And our reasoning and add the seasoning to the reasoning is so justifiable that it makes sense in our own mind. You deceive yourself. So when you are doing the deep work and you're doing the inner work, and this is what brought the revelation of me being the CEO of my life, every day when I get up now, and this is what has been creating massive transformation, massive results in my life of something different, is I ask myself the question of what are the moves that I am making as a CEO? What are the moves that I'm making as a millionaire? And then integrate that. And that is why also a lot of times you are trying to create habits in your life that are not sticking because you're not doing the identity work. There's a powerful cocktail that happens when you do the identity work and then you do the habits, you mesh them together, and that's where the magic happens. Because that's when you execute. That's when your inner masculine and your inner feminine coming together. I'm going to wrap this up with one beautiful bow because I just had this conversation multiple times with men in the business world this past week. And I love it because men are hungry. They are desiring to understand women deeper, how to support them. And also, when you have the polarity, you have men and women doing business together, unstoppable. That is where the magic happens. I appreciate having men in my world doing business with them. And if a man taps into the power of a woman, of what she brings into his world, like we multiply everything. You are going to your growth, you're going to want to buckle it up, Buttercup, because your growth is going to skyrocket. So, in polarity, in having this conversation, women, right? We have a lot of emotions and we have a lot of feelings, which is so beautiful. And the more that you heal and the deeper that you go, and the more that you understand and you know yourself and your identity and all the different things, the more that you will trust yourself because you now know you're not coming from trauma. You know that you're coming from, excuse me, I was uploading something. You know that you're coming from a place of inner knowing, certainty, right? And so identity shifting, identity work, because you live your life and you make your choices according to the way that you feel about yourself and the way that you believe about yourself. And men too. Men do this too. This is not saying men are emotionless. In fact, men have a lot of emotions, a lot of emotions. They're desiring to express themselves more deeper than they ever have. And we get to give them the safety of doing so. And that is something that I will say that I'm really powerful at, is allowing men to express themselves. Even though I'm a get your shit together and grip it and come forward, that's why they trust me, because I have the capacity and I have the depth to hold their emotions and yet run with them and do the things. And so with that, because he says to me, well, as a man, we will look at the goal and then we'll think of like, what do I need to do today to execute and to reach that goal? And say it is making like $5,000, right? Say your goal is to make $5,000 in a week because I gotta feed my family, make the rent, do the payments, all the different things. I will then ask myself, what is a plan of action? And I will hustle and grind to make that happen. And I was like, whoa, back it up. I'm like, yes, as men, that works for you. Women, nada. We're leaving the hustle culture. I did the hustle culture. I was the woman who had a cleaning business, who did 15 jobs in 1 week and was raising 3 kids. It was like the master at hustling. I said yes to everything that I was willing to sacrifice myself to the depths that I would never sacrifice myself. I'm not building my business on hustle now, and I will not do that again. And I'm not willing to abandon myself again. And I said to him, I said, yes, as men, that is how you guys, that is where you guys are accomplish driven, mission driven, accomplish driven, execute it, do the things. That's not, I said, as women, we are the most powerful when we connect to the feeling of it and then execute it. It's not like we're just sitting here and we're like, hi, Daddy. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Just going to pray for the Lord to bring it in. No. We make grounded, rooted decisions in our intuition and our inner knowing. And this is a hardcore lesson that I learned last year in the house renovation business, because I was coming from that do. I wasn't quite to the place of sacrifice, but there were so many times where I abandoned myself and my intuition just to get shit done, just to make it happen. And then I had a whole coming to Jesus moment, and I went to the event out in Chicago, and I realized where I was operating out of my wounded masculine, and I tapped into healthy masculinity and in my inner feminine, and got more connected to my heart and trusting myself deeper in my intuition. And your girl has cried more than I have ever cried in my life. And it feels so good. It's like the floodgates of abundance have opened on the inside of me. I've been accessing my heart for a while, but this has gone next level, which means you're going to go next level with me. So I said, we tap into the feeling. Like when I'm asking myself the question, what does the version of me Who, me, because I'm already her, right? I'm just building the muscle and shifting the identity because it takes a lot when you are taking your life to the next level, not from a rock bottom place, but where you're kind of comfortable. I never realized how much work it's going to require. I always rebuilt my life from rock bottom. Hit a rock bottom, there's only one place you can go, and that is up. But now when you're building your life where you have some comfort, it's going to require you to have more conviction than comfort for you to execute and leave that place. Because I was always motivated through pain. Now I'm not being motivated through pain. I'm being motivated through conviction. It's choosing conviction over comfort. And I know that there's people out there that are praying for what I have, which moves me every day to show up and to execute it and take it into the world, bring my programs into the world and my coaching and get myself on stages and make my podcast the number one. All the different things. Not yes, one, my family, me, myself, and I, and my God-given calling to my family, and then all the people that there are people that are praying for what you bring into this world, the gifts that God has given you. And so I said to him, when I asking myself the question of what does the $1 million version of me do, because I'm leaving this identity and tapping deeper into the embodiment of the way that God has designed me to be. It's not that I'm just over here where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, I'm a millionaire. And I'm doing like not doing because it's not about I'm a millionaire, and I'm the CEO. I'm not taking, no, it's the power that is tapped behind that because I'm tapped into my intuition. I trust myself. I'm tapped into my heart and I'm executing and I'm taking action. I'm taking a lot less action because I'm not taking action from lack or trying to make something happen. I'm taking action from a place of knowing, from a place of certainty. It's showing up in the daily. It's building that trust within inside of myself. And then eventually the muscle that's being built in this identity over here that I am in now, I'm going to be deep in embodiment of it. And then there comes the next level of it. And that's the beauty of it. But I say all of this is that I said to him, I said, as women, we don't hustle. We are the most powerful. I need you to catch this right now. We are the most powerful when we are slowing down and when we are taking time for ourselves and when we are connected to our heart and our intuition. That is when women become unstoppable. Not because we did 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week or we did all of the things. It's when we slow down, we heal our nervous system, and we connect with our heart and our soul, and we begin to trust our intuition. Your intuition is your God-given GPS system. Your intuition can save you thousands of moves. It can save you thousands of dollars and make you millions because you are set up to succeed. It's we bypass our intuition by our trauma or our conditioning, our nervous system reacting to some kind of way. And this is where the beauty of the work that I do, where you have nervous system work and you have the journaling and you have the videos where you can listen to them over and over and you can integrate it with inside of yourself where the transformation comes. And then if you work with me one-on-one yet, you're going to be elevated to a whole nother level. So it's working smarter, not harder. And then the men are doing their thing. And you combine the beautiful combination of us women and the men. The kingdom is unleashed. Until next time, stay unstoppable. You are so powerful. If you haven't left a review, go leave a review. And I will see you next week.